I talked to Ms. Doris that just left. We owned the home for a long time. We owned it. So, you know what, I don't need insurance no more because I'm not necessarily gonna need it. So we dropped the insurance on our home. Now this happened, what do? Now we don't have any insurances. This is where we just come to you guys and you guys can aid us as much as we can, as much as you can, I mean.
Yeah, like I said, insurance isn't a requirement.
Okay, insurance is not, insurance is not a requirement. Anybody, you had hands up?
Right.
Yes, I have a question. Good information. So just say that my home was destroyed, we praise God it's not. And I have family members staying with me. If something happened, so you're saying because they don't have a lease, or they're not on the mortgage, they would not be able to file a claim, or you all would not find a place for them to stay as well?
So I think it would all be listed as one household if they're all staying with you. You would all register as one household.
Now, based off of if they had like personal property damage, like if their car got damaged, then yeah, they can file a separate registration, but like we were saying earlier, the address needs to be like 101 Kings Lane A, 101 Kings Lane B. That's how we can determine which one are we talking to.
Okay, so in other words, like I'm saying, it's just say it's 4 or 5 people in my home. And you're saying that if something happens, because we don't have a lease wrote up, we just living as a family, if something happened, then they won't be covered, that's what I'm saying.
They'll be covered just a separate, yeah.
Just one registration, but not for their property, not for their personal property.
Yeah, if they're all living together in a family, you can do one registration for that property. And, you know, you might have, the home may be damaged as well as the personal property can be damaged. But it's one registration, which would be most likely the owner of the property.
So maybe she's asking, do they get individual property damage in that situation? Like, even though it's one house?
Family, living family. Only if there's separate renters in the house.
Okay, thank you.
Otherwise, it's one registration.
All right, thank you.
Otherwise, if it's separate renters, like, you know, I'm staying at the house and renting the back room, then I can do my own registration. But if it's one family, it's one registration.
All right, thank you.
I just want to ask a question, and this probably don't really have anything to do with y'all in general, but I feel like the way it's set up as far as the contacting of individuals, it's like we're gonna call you one time, or we're gonna call you twice, or we're gonna text you, or we're gonna email you, and we have people that work, like I work, but I have the power of attorney from my mom. So I can't just sit here at work and hold his phone and pray FEMA calls me. And that's the kind of issue I'm running into. And then you don't have a number where you can call back. And if you call back, you starting the process all over again because you didn't answer the phone when they called to maybe come out and inspect your property. So I think it should be maybe a better way of, okay, I contacted you, then I have the issue to be able to call you back and say, okay, I saw where you called me or you text me or you email me, but most of those numbers are like blocked. So when you try to recontact somebody, you can't get in touch with somebody and your property's still not being checked, so you back to square one, where I got appeal because you couldn't get in contact with me. So I'm like, what's the process of, okay, I called you, I couldn't contact you, what am I doing, what's my next step?
Let me say this, I'm not really sure how to answer that, but what I can explain is we have, like this young man said earlier, we have different people that come from different places. So if we're giving you, if we have one disaster, if he was your inspector, he may come to your house, but he may get pulled on something else. So then, like, if we have different counties, he could be in Spalding County one day and he could be in Pike the next day. So for you to have his information is not really necessarily beneficial, but again, we always have that disaster recovery center where you can come in, where you can talk to the staff there, and they can make sure they get you straight. But That's one of the reasons why, because everybody, like I'm a permanent FEMA employee, but everybody is not. So to give you those numbers could put you on yet another road that you don't need to be on. You know, you feel like you have to run around.
I understand
So, but
what you're
we're,
saying.
yeah.
And
So what are your
that's-
suggestions?
that's
What could
kinda
we
like
do
where
to
the
help?
problem is. It's like you may be a permanent employee, and we have other people coming in maybe to inspect the property. So if I miss that person call, then I've been to the other center. I've been to every center y'all just about got. And what's ended up happening, sometimes I haven't even been contacted. I went like last week, I hadn't heard anything from anybody.
At
I
that
haven't
point, you
heard
can,
anything
we
from
have,
anybody. So that's why I'm saying we are contacting people, and they're contacting us probably when we're somewhere trying to work. Because
I
we're
understand.
trying to survive.
right, right.
Or, so what do? You got people where they can't even take their phones
the
in their
inspectors
place
are-
of employment.
Yeah,
That's true.
I understand exactly what you're saying. The inspectors actually have, none of us are inspectors here, but they actually have a requirement to try to contact you at least three times. They can't call you once and then just say, oh, I couldn't get a hold of them. They're supposed to try up to at least three times, and that's why when you register, we ask for your phone number, whatever. We also ask for alternative phone numbers, because maybe you can give your husband's number, or your neighbor's number, your mom's number, other numbers, so that inspector has a whole bunch of numbers that they can try to get a hold of you. The more phone numbers you give, the better. So that's one thing you can do during registration. And then they're supposed to
And
try.
that's what I'm saying, that's what I done.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, what is,
And
you
then
know, FEMA is, and no disrespect to y'all.
yeah.
FEMA is making people feel like y'all just rushing in and helping people, and you're going through all this stuff, and you're still not getting no help. I mean, that's where I'm at right now with FEMA. It's like, what am I doing? Why am I even trying? Why do I keep going
So
through
if
the
you're,
same process?
if you're waiting
and
for the
not getting
inspector and
any
you
help?
haven't heard from him, then that's where these people said. After that, go back to the DRC, the Disaster Recovery Center, and speak to FEMA, because they can get another inspector to try to, we don't want it to drop. We want, if that inspector wasn't able to get a hold of you for whatever reason, we'll reassign another inspector to try to get a hold of you. We won't
If
just
that,
let
but
it
people
drop.
don't have time, we can't keep getting off a road to go to the center, to keep getting an inspector to come out though.
And
That's
that's
the
what
But
thing.
you can call the phone number,
Yeah.
you can call the phone number and do it as well. You don't have to go to the center, but
But that's why we were open on the Saturday and Sunday, so people who do work can come out if you're off on the weekends. But that was the reason for the 7 days a week.
Okay.
Right.
Is it any way during the registration process that when you give them a phone number and the alternate and all the other alternate phone numbers that you also supply the best time to contact me? Like, is it possible to do that?
You don't have that. They don't have that. What they'll do is when the inspector does call you, they're gonna call you with a one-on-one. They're gonna ask the time for you that you're gonna be at home. You don't work around our.
Oh, so they
schedule.
just
work
ask
around
what
your
time will
schedule.
we be at home, but we can't necessarily say, well, if
No.
the best time to call me is between this time and this time because I'm at work.
Well, you,
Okay.
when the inspector calls, that's when you
Yeah.
could do that, but, cause you still.
We
in
gotta
queue.
catch the inspector
Yeah.
first.
Still in
and
the
a lot of
queue.
inspectors will leave callback numbers.
Yes,
Maybe
they do.
yours, the one that was contacting you didn't, so I'm not saying they all do. But a lot of inspectors I've worked with, they'll leave a message and they'll say, call me back at this number. So they're leaving callback numbers, at least they're supposed to.
Oh,
So
let me-
you have a way to get back to
Let me
hold.
say one thing, like she was saying about not getting in contact. That's why that 1-800 number is your best friend. Even if, and it saves gas from going to DRC if you don't have to, but DRC is the best place where you would go when you got them documents and you don't know what to do with them. But with anything that's going on about your case, remember that in your profile, in your account, you can see everything that we're doing on that portal. So you can submit things there too, but when it comes down to you actually have an inspector, call that 1-800 number and they'll get on the phone and we'll have an advisor. Advisor right then will open up to set up that appointment for a new inspector to come out. But if you don't call that number, because immediately when you call, they'll have an advisor. That's what they do. That's so you won't fall between the crack when it comes to those inspections.
And they'll see every time that inspector tried to reach out to you.
Exactly.
That
It's
inspector's
all
putting
hidden.
notes in there. So if that inspector has not been able to get a hold of you, they'll see all that. That's all registered, that person tried on this date,
The time and everything.
So that's why, you know, you call in and talk to somebody, they'll be able to say, yeah, I see this inspector tried to get a hold of you, so let's take it to the next step. Let's do something differently because that hasn't worked.
And then that means that's when you get the information about, well, I'm at work between this time. Can you call this person, or can you call, let them know all that, the inspector, they're gonna work with you, because trust me, there's so many other people that's in that queue that needs an inspection too. So they in the route, they try to make that 360, keep coming, looping it back around to you till they get that inspection done. We have to do it, you in the system.
So the
Alright.
inspector actually can call and set an appointment with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they gonna,
exactly.
they want to know the exact time, cause they don't wanna just go out there on a whim and you're not there.
And some of them will even text you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the Austin, he texts me.
Yeah, like I
He
said, there's some of
texts
them
me,
who
and
will,
me
but a
and
lot of
met
them.
out there. He texts me.
Yes, ma'am.
So what are the requirements to determine the maximum reward amount for that 41,000? Like what determines the tiers of that?
Inspector.
Yeah, I would say it's gonna be based on that inspection that you have, so.
Like the amount of damage, or like receipts that you may have had in the past, or?
So like she said, we're not gonna make you whole, but they will take your receipts, your pictures and everything into consideration when looking at that and looking at the damage, cause we wanna make sure you have somewhere safe and secure to live, right? Safe and sanitary. So they're gonna take a look at that and decide based on what they see, what we're able to help you with after that.
A question regarding the inspector. That seems to be a gap with the community. Is there something with communication there with them coming out? If someone was to say, like, based on the report and based on if my house is flattened, or if, can they still go out there to inspect these without a confirmation or anything like that? Without that, if they were to communicate with a family member who wasn't able to come out on site to meet them, is it something that we could do as far as like if we were be able to say like, hey, just go on out there? What is a process for them to just get out here to see the space?
So,
Let me ask a clarifying question. Are you asking if that you can have somebody else stand in your behalf if you're not able?
Yes, but not on
Yes.
site.
Yes.
If somebody's not able to come out on site, can that inspector get their approval to just go out there?
no, someone has to be
Somebody-
there.
Somebody has to be physically there.
But it can be, you can assign and approve another person to stand on your behalf. If you're working and you want somebody else to do it, you
So if
can.
we were to put down a community leader for this entire neighborhood, that we can get somebody, if that person were the contact person for these inspectors, is that something that could happen?
No, we don't feel that way. Because remember, the site where they're going to inspect is for the registered person,
Okay.
okay? Because anybody can say, oh, this my house, this my house, this my house.
Right.
No.
And we can't share any personal information
Yeah.
or anything like that with someone other than the applicant.
Any more questions?
I was
So
gonna
I
say-
saw a hand in the back.
I'm in a fraud department right now, because the homeowner should probably already address that there, the homeowner, which is my mom, trying to figure out all the property.
Okay,
I turn in every document.
we turned in every document, okay. We would have to take a look at your case individually. You'll have to see me right after this to see if I can help you out. Okay? That's-
What I don't wanna do, I don't wanna negate the fact that SBA is here, because they do
Yeah.
have some services that are available even to individuals and businesses, so. Okay, yeah, I have James here to talk to you guys about that.
I mean, and thank you all for answering all these questions. This is very helpful information. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody.
I have to leave, I wanna interrupt my brother before I go. Just so, residents here, or if you know anyone, that is displaced and having problem finding a place to live, the Griffin Housing Authority has frozen property for people to, procure. But we are not having people to come and get those properties. So they're going to free them up and start back their regular routine. So if you know someone that is not, in a place that they can afford, looking for an affordable place, send them to the Griffin Housing Authority, because they have property frozen just for those who are affected by the tornado. So, I just wanted to get that out. I gotta go out here and shut down, Griffin 317, we're the ones out here doing the chicken, so
Okay.
y'all make sure,
Uh-oh, you all right?
y'all make sure y'all get some, cause we don't wanna take none of that stuff home.
Okay.
Thank y'all for coming too.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank y'all.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Accurso. I'm a public affairs specialist with the Small Business Administration. Now, what I'd like everybody to know is that we do help homeowners and renters. Not on, we have small business in our name, but we do help homeowners, renters, and nonprofits. When you do register with FEMA, you will be referred to us to see if you're eligible for a long-term, low-interest loan, okay? We will help homeowners to up to $200,000 for property damage. We will help a renter for up to $40,000 for contents of the property. We'll also provide that $40,000 limit to the homeowner as well, okay? So it's to your benefit when you are referred by FEMA to come talk to us, okay? For a couple of reasons. First, to see if you are eligible for our loans. There are no fee for our loans, to see if you apply, and you're under no obligation to take the loan. But if you do get the loan, it is deferred for 12 months interest-free currently. That's a current program that we have going. So we want to make you whole over the long term. We want to do what we can to see if you are eligible. And we encourage you, again, to come into one of the centers. We are on site where FEMA is at their disaster recovery centers. We also have 5 what we call business recovery centers in the surrounding counties. We're there 6 days a week, typically 8 to 6, 9 to 5. They vary by county. We have trained customer service reps like we have here today who can help you. So if you think, you may not qualify, you think your credit might not be good enough, for whatever reason you think you may not qualify for an SBA loan, don't let that stop you. Please come in and talk to us. We've had over 210 applicants here in Spalding County. We've awarded, this is earlier in the week, 29 folks have been awarded our loans, and we've awarded almost $800,000 in loans. Okay, and again, that number continues to go up. You have until March 17th to talk to us. So once you get into the system with us and apply, we're gonna be able to work with you over the long haul. We, like FEMA, we're here temporarily. Around the deadline time, many of us may be, moving on to a different disaster, but we are still available at the 800 number that we offer, 800-659-2955. You can talk to a customer service rep there.
Can you repeat that number? I'm sorry.
800-659-2955. I got that right? Yep. And you can also apply online at disasterloanassistance.sba.gov. Okay? Those of you that don't have a computer, I heard that question earlier. If you don't have a computer, you can call that 800 number and they'll mail you a paper application. Okay? But it's to your benefit, again, to come in and talk to us. We also offer, on top of those loan, if you do get the loan, we can help you with any mitigation type situations. So say you had trees fall on your home, okay? Down the line, if you wanted to take out some of those trees, if you wanted to reinforce the structure, you may be eligible for additional funds on top of that initial loan you were awarded. Yeah. Right, so, yeah. Okay, so good. So it's an additional 20% on top of the loan, okay? So retaining walls, reinforcing the structure. If you took water in the basement and you didn't have a sump pump. So again, we want to be able to help you with that. If down the line there was, you discovered additional damages that weren't reported initially, you can talk to a customer service rep about getting, a change to that loan amount to you. So again, we are here for the long haul. We're here to help. You don't need to wait to talk to insurance before we encourage you to come in and talk to us as soon as you can. Now again, as evidenced by today, we know you all have been through a lot. You know, you have other demands that you need to take care of to get yourself back on. So again, you've got another month to come in and talk to us. You know, the loans again are long term. They're up to 30 years. They're very low interest. I told you right now they're 0 interest, but when the terms are loan, they're going to be under 3% or less. So tell your friends. Tell anyone you know. Other again, like Michelle had mentioned, we're happy to address other congregations like this of folks. I wanted to say anything I missed?
Of course. No, you did very well.
And the main reason is the fact that we don't have insurance.
Yes, and if you
That's
don't have
the reason why you would go here.
Right. You don't have to have insurance. And one other point too, if you apply to us and you're found ineligible for whatever reason, you may be eligible for additional needs assistance from FEMA. But if you don't talk to us, that avenue is not open to you. Okay, so it's to your benefit. Come in, talk to someone. It might take about an hour, hour and a half of your time, but you're gonna sit right down with a customer service rep. They're gonna ask all your personal information. You're gonna be able to key it in yourself. And, again, we protect your privacy, and, we wanna make you guys whole as best we can. So we do help homeowners and renters, so.
I was gonna say one thing too.
Yeah.
Also have it when you go on there and fill out your application about the loans. Of course, they will let you know whether or not what you qualify for. When it's on there, you know what your incomes are, you know what you make a year, what you can afford, what you can't afford. So with that being said, in that process, they have it to where they have like a little beacon in there. You just slide it. As you slide it, it says the amount. It tells you immediately what you would pay monthly.
Right.
So that means stay within your bracket. So that way you'll be able to make those payments. Okay. So, and if you want a little more, you can do that as well.
Right.
So.
Yep.
All right.
And again, that for you, but for right now, so if we were to write that loan now, you're not gonna start paying off that loan till month 13. Okay, and that's a program that was introduced out of DC last September, and that goes until next September. So.
Can I just reiterate, if you get that letter from FEMA that says you're denied or that you need to go through and apply for SBA, apply. Even if you don't want the loan, even if you don't think you qualify, even if I have the worst credit ever, my uncle won't even lend me $5, apply, because that, like he said, if you don't qualify, then you can come back to FEMA and potentially get some more money. And what happens oftentimes is people see that, they don't apply, and they leave money on the table.
Yeah.
So please, if you got that letter, apply.
Thank you.
Okay, how y'all doing today? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm gonna try to speed it up and keep everything, because we just understand that FEMA, SBA, we're family. It's very important that I say that. Everybody, I like to listen before I speak, because I like to talk anyways, but it's important that I listen. It's recommended that everybody at least come to SBA, because we may be able to provide at least give you some more resources or information about how this process works. That's important. Regardless if you have insurance or not, we do have people that they have insurance. It's a lot of things that each and every one of us can't even get into, because everybody plays a part in this big picture of assistance. And then really when you say loans, I can see everybody like loans. Nobody want to hear about loans. But again, everybody's here to do their part and provide assistance. And the way this thing works is that you have insurance. FEMA is going to ask you, and I don't want to get into all that stuff, but FEMA's going to say, hey, you filed an insurance claim. That tells that you had damage. That's one way of telling, right? If you file through it, if you have insurance. If you don't, that's fine. You go to FEMA, and then you're going to provide them information. Hey, I don't have insurance. That's fine. Then they're going to ask you questions, totally different from our questionnaire. And then
I recommend you all still come to us, because you never know. But the way this works is that once you do come to us, and you know, and we're going to actually give you some information, and then it's recommended that you submit an application. That's what the customer service representatives, that's what we do. And what we do is just, we don't make the decision. We're just here to assist, get your information, find out who you are. Regardless of your credit score, we don't get into that because there are different things that factor into that. Right. There's a lot of things that's going on out here that just things are tough. So, and you may make the money, you may have your credit to debt ratio, your bills may be satisfactory where you still can get a loan. It depends on your credit score. Sometimes it could be not as high, and if you make enough money, it may work with you. So I've seen all different situations. Yeah. So that doesn't, credit score doesn't mean everything.
Okay, you continue to say a loan. Is that like if you go to the bank of loan company that you borrow a certain amount of money, you have to have a payment plan that you have to pay for this?
I will answer that. I like that. So let me. I try to make this loan thing as simple as it's a loan. So you're right. That's to answer your question. It is a loan. I like to say assistance. They provide assistance in the form of a grant. You don't have to pay it back. Okay. The thing about it is, they touched on it earlier, is that we all here to provide. The thing about it is, we're going to get you back to the way things were prior to the disaster. We're going to give it all to you. That's how I keep it simple. We're going to give it all in the form of a loan, unfortunately. But that's a blessing because although you didn't cause the disaster, we still have to try to give you assistance. 2% loan, you can't beat that. And then, except Jesus. Then you have 30 years, you can pay it back anytime, no prepayment penalty. It's a blessing. If you qualify. If you don't, guess what? She like how I said. So then you're gonna be referred back to FEMA anyways. And then that's why it's important that you go through with us and don't be discouraged, well, I don't wanna go to the loan. You never know. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, then it's not for you. And it's, so it's 2% and it could be no more than 4%. If you're gonna spend your money, you're gonna pay a credit card, it's gonna be a lot more than that. So unfortunately, it's a situation that you're in. And hopefully I answered.
But we will help. We will also help if you've got a loan with us. You know, maybe you can combine those loans, okay? Or maybe you would need to refinance, or maybe you want to relocate. Those options are available to you with SBA. Okay, so we also have anyone here in the room have a business? Okay, so we provide also what we call economic injury disaster loans. So if you had any kind of a setback in the primary counties that were here, okay, so Spalding is one, you couldn't conduct business because of the storm, or your clients could come to you because of the storm. You weren't able to make payroll. You weren't able to pay your rent. You weren't able to meet any number of other normal courses of business operations. And you have, your working capital's been hit, we could help you, and those loans are up to $2 million.
And those things were pretty much, they know, a lot of people know who we are now because the PPP, the EIDL loan, that's us.
Yeah, yep.
So people are kind of familiar with that. So we just try to stay low key, but that's who we are.
So we've got the physical damage, we've got the economic injury, and then we help homeowners and renters and nonprofits. So, yes.
Question about, I know with FEMA, they were limited to who was on the lease. With how she mentioned the family members that are staying within the house, is it possible for them to apply for assistance as well? Or does it I'm sorry?
You saying apply for SBA?
Yes.
You guys can.
So anybody within the household is able to apply as well, and they don't, the requirement isn't set at the lease?
I'm gonna answer that pretty easily. You gotta be very careful with that. So let me explain it to you as simple as I can. If you're in the house, then, like they say, if you renting, then you're gonna be on the lease, or if you should be on the lease.
So
if it's 10 people in the house,
they aren't on the lease.
Then you don't know. So what the individual that comes to us is gonna be renting. Let's say you're renting a home. Okay. You know, we don't really get into asking you. We don't ask all those questions. We don't. That's if they need documentation from you, then they will reach out to you through email. But really, if you come as an individual, then you're the one that's claiming the property.
Okay.
Does that make sense? You're the individual, nobody else. Because what happens is, let me explain to you why. That's tricky. If you're coming to get the loan for the personal property, they're gonna base it off of your credit. And then anybody else, then this you won't even be qualified because it's just you as an individual.
Right.
And so your income, because they're giving you the loan. Other people can't really claim that.
So would that cover, like, if I'm within the home and my personal property was damaged, but I am not on any of the mortgage or the lease information, could I still apply to get my personal property?
You can apply that. They would tell you yes. They would tell you if they need documentation. We make sure we submit your application.
Gotcha.